Hey class, welcome to week 3. Just a reminder, we do not have class. We're not meeting face-to-face this week because I am gone. However, you guys still have the option to use the room to get together with your teams, or you can meet online somehow this week. It's really your choice. But you do have a team activity that has to be completed by the end of the week. It may take multiple submissions for your team before you get it correct, but you will have to have these 100% by the end of the week so that your team can continue on to your project next week, where we'll start the customer segmentation portion. So this week there are several readings that you need to go through. Read your textbook, listen and watch the videos related to the competencies. Read the article, How to Define Your Target Market. Watch the videos related to customer segmentation. And then you're going to submit your teamwork charter. There's an in-class activity about customer segmentation where you're actually going to look at a couple different examples of how companies have segmented your market, and then bring that into class next week, and we'll use it as a review activity. And then there is a quiz. You'll get one shot at the quiz. It's 12 questions. It's 10 or 12 questions. Several of them are actually like terminology matching. So there is a time limit on it, so you'll want to make sure that you look at that before you start it. As long as you've read through your materials, you should be fine. Again, customer segmentation goes along with target marketing that you've already covered. It goes along with your customer growth strategies that many of you have already taken. So it should just be review. However, I still see that students struggle every year. So here's your one reading. It's a document that you'll have to read through. Read How to Define Your Target Market. Here's some more readings related to segmenting your market. Reading about team contracts. I didn't require you to read it, but I'd highly encourage it. One thing with your team, so you guys are in teams of 4 or 5. There was a couple people that weren't in class last week that didn't get a chance to sign up, but I added them to teams. So the teams are listed. You should see your group and your 4 or 5 members listed under your team this week, so you'll have to get together with them. But I really want to stress again that with your teamwork, in order to make your project work, make a company work in the real world, for our society, our civilization to work, you have to be accountable to that group effort. If you're not accountable to your group this term, you will be fired. You will lose your teamwork points. So while you're doing your team contracts, I have listed 5 bajillion questions here. Not really 5 bajillion, but you know. How I want you to cover all of these areas in some way or another. Do you have to list these line item for line item? No. But your team contract should outline your team's goals, your expectations of all of your team members, how you're going to assess each other's performance, how you're going to deal with conflicts, even if you're best buddies right now. You may not be as you get into this project. So, clearly outline what your expectations are for every member of your team, so everyone is held to the same standard. How are you guys going to communicate outside of class? You're going to have to. How are you, or what is your expectations as far as communication? Is it professional? Are you guys okay with text language? Do you expect a certain response time? I heard one group in class talking about like one team member shut off their group because they all decided to wait till 11 o'clock every night one semester, and he did not work at 11 o'clock on group projects because he did it during the day. You know, what are your expectations? I want you guys to be very clear about that in your contract for when issues do arise. What tool or how are you guys going to work on your project outside of class? Is it Google Docs? Is it email? What platform? I'd recommend not doing Snapchat or Facebook, but using more of a professional tool. It'll help prepare you for next term. Text messaging, Snapchat, whatever, they're okay. But you're going to need a tool that you can keep track of communication throughout your projects, and so those don't really always allow the best for that to happen. Who is going to complete the weekly assignments? Who's going to turn those assignments in? You need to highlight those things. Who's going to delegate projects each week? Who's going to be responsible for that? Are you going to rotate through your team members? Do some of you have strengths and weaknesses that maybe you shouldn't be the one submitting it in Blackboard, or such and such should be the one filling out the chart, or those sort of things? How are you guys going to manage that? You need to discuss that. How are you going to, or what are you going to do in the event of conflict? What are you going to do in the event of slackers on the team or those not showing up to class? Are you okay if your teammates miss class? I mean, that's really up to you. What about the overachievers? What if you guys are kind of like, most of your team is maybe like C's get degrees, and then you have somebody on your teams that's like the overachiever, has to get an A, wants to get everything done on Tuesday of the week when we have class on Monday. How are you guys going to work through all those different potential issues? You need to outline that in your contract. You should probably outline how you're going to earn points on the evaluation or lose points on the team evaluation. I'm using a standard evaluation that all of your team members we'll fill out the same evaluation form each week. Let's see what else. What's the process you guys are going to have for firing a team member? Are you going to have like a verbal warning, a written communication? What is your process? I generally do a 3 strikes rule. But what is your team going to propose in your team contract? So those are just a few things that are outlined. You guys also had a discussion board or wiki, whichever it was, I can't remember, where we talked about team expectations and those sort of things. Go back to that and see how it relates to group work. What are some things that are common issues? What are some other things you should probably include in your contract? This contract's not going to be a page in length. It's probably going to be 2, 3, maybe 4 pages in length outlining these things so that you guys have clear expectations and guidelines that you're going to follow for your project. You will be working on this project for 7-ish weeks together. So that's a significant amount of time. You want to have a good framework starting out. So that is vital on there. So those are your assignments. That's your team contract. I am going to grade those team contracts as they come in. I will give you 0 points if you are missing some area or something is not specific and clear. And I'll tell you to redo it, and you'll get to redo it until everything is clear and specific and laid out in detail, so that there's no wishy-washy language in there, so to speak. So that summarizes your assignments this week. If you guys have any questions after you've watched this video, reach out to me and let me know. Have a great week.